back to another GTN Coaches Corner. This week, I'm going to be discussing that family training balance. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Don't forget you can send in your questions using the hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. Just drop them in the comments below any video or this video if you like, and we'll try and answer them for you. Right, first question from Rory Broughton. Hi, what is the ideal way to integrate a family vacation into an Ironman training program? Age grouper problems. I'm in a 20-week 80-20 program set to race at the end of September. I started the program 24 weeks ahead of the event, knowing I'd have a family vacation and a volunteering trip thrown in over this period of time. Are there some tips about the best way to adjust anything like the weekly periodization, the types of workouts right before I leave, or workouts that help me get back into a rhythm of the program? Well, first of all, good on you for thinking about this in advance. You've been very well prepared and organised. In fact, I actually think before we go into all these questions, sort of just take a step back and just discuss this family training balance on a broader scale. And some advice that I have received over the years, particularly as I have just got myself a family. So first off, work out the time that you have available around your family and your work commitments, and then enter an appropriate event for you. So bearing in mind some of these bigger events, an ultramarathon, an Ironman, are going to require much more time and some big long workouts with that. Then also get buy-in from your family. I know that sounds like an odd thing to say, but do discuss this with your family. It's amazing how many people don't before they enter events. And then talk through how you're going to go about fitting your training in around family and work commitments. And then also just let us know if you've got any other suggestions in the comments section down below. It'd be lovely to hear from some of you and how you've managed to balance this family training juggle. Okay, now back to Rory's question. 6 months is actually a really good period of time to build into an event, but equally at the same time, I wouldn't suggest much less than that, particularly going into an Ironman. Now, regarding your vacation question, it does depend on a few factors. So, how long are those breaks? When are those breaks? And can you do anything whilst you're on those breaks? Now, the plan that you're following will have been designed to kind of build up. It'll overload you, and that's how we get fitter and stronger and better. You'll recover, you'll build up, and so on and so forth. So the key here, or the way in which you should try and plan this out, is that you're factoring those vacations into the recovery period. So you're not wasting any of that valuable build period of your training. So you can be quite smart about this. You can plan ahead. Also, in terms of the actual training itself, you might want to actually put in a bigger week or so before you head away, knowing that you maybe can't do anything at all whilst you're away. Or if you know that perhaps you can do some running whilst you're away, you might put more of a focus on your swim and your bike the week before or the week after that holiday. There will also likely be some key workouts that you'll see during the plan. It might be a big run workout, for instance, that is really focusing on marathon pace ahead of your Ironman. And if your vacation is planned on that week, you might want to consider actually just budging that into another week and replacing one of the other runs, because it's obviously a key workout that's really going to help you and give you confidence ahead of the day. Cool. All right, moving on. Next one from My Bike is My Happy Place. I recently went on a bike packing vacation with my family. Our goal was smiles over miles with many stops, snacks and selfies. We actually biked about 80 kilometers and 4 hours per day with 20 kilograms of gear. My heart rate rarely left zone 2. Adventures like this are the real reason why I train. While I would not trade these memories for all the race performances in the world, I'm curious, what kind of training effect can I expect from this kind of riding? I'm presently training for Olympic distance, so this daily volume is higher than my typical week, but at a much lower intensity. Thanks for all the great content. I love this, and this is, in my opinion, what it's all about. Now, benefits from these kind of rides or this kind of intensity are that you're actually going to, or your body is going to produce more mitochondria. And from those endurance rides, that's also going to improve your aerobic efficiency. In turn, that's going to improve your stamina and your ability then to ride at high intensities for a sustained period of time. So there is actually somewhat of a benefit from these. Also, these long days in the saddle can actually biomechanically help you. They make you more efficient. It's something I notice when I actually get out on the bike for a long period of time. I just feel smoother, and therefore that means that less energy is being wasted because you're riding more efficiently. And also, very often, for age groupers trying to fit their training in around work, life, family, we become time efficient with our workouts. And it means that we often are missing some of these longer endurance rides, which actually can be really beneficial from time to time. So actually, this sounds like a great vacation, and I'm sure you get a little bit of a boost from it in that sense. Cool. Next one from Jen Ben Try. My goal in the next few years is to podium in my age group at the Ironman World Champs. Bold, I know, but I'd like to set these targets and go after them. A small issue, I have 3 young children and a lovely wife that I'd like to keep on my side. Is this at all possible? This is a good question. And actually, I think I'll start by giving you a couple of examples just to sort of almost maybe give this family training balance some context. Now, these are purely examples and approximate numbers. So an age group athlete with a 9-to-5 job and a family might designate approximately 30% of their day to sleep, 30% to work commitments, perhaps 20% to family time, and then 10% to social time and relaxation, and then that remaining 10% to training opportunities. And then if we take the polar opposite of that, a young pro, which is just purely focusing on their training, they maybe haven't even got any family commitments, they're going to be designating approximately 40% of their day to sleep, 20% to work commitments with sponsors and things like that, 10 to 20% to relaxation, 20 to 30% to training. A couple of glaring omissions there: social, and obviously, as mentioned, the family commitments. Now, the reason I've given these examples, because if you are trying to be an age grouper at the top of the game and competing with the best, winning the Ironman World Championships or being on the podium, some of those age groupers are so close to the pro level of racing. In fact, many of them actually are almost branching over, particularly when you go to the podium of Ironman World Champs. Yet, you can suddenly see how it's hard to match that level of training. And when you factor in, okay, yes, there's a reduction in the amount of training time available. Also, if you've got a 9-to-5, how much that impacts the training time that you do have available. So actually it starts to become really quite difficult. How those top age groupers are managing it, I do not know. Maybe they don't have 9-to-5s, I know. In my opinion though, something always does have to give. So if you are focusing more time on training, your performance will improve. If you're focusing more time on your family, your connection with your family will improve. If you're focusing more time on your work or your studies, you may get a qualification, you may get a promotion. My point being, investing more time in something, the other has to give. It is a real juggling act. And it comes back to my previous point earlier on. You need to talk through with your family to make sure that you're finding that balance. So get buy-in from them and talk through how you're going to fit that training in around work, family, and so on. Right. I know that's not maybe the answer you're after. It's really tough, particularly for something like the Ironman World Championships podium. But best of luck to you, and I'm sure you'll make it happen. Right, final one from IronRon76. I'm doing an Ironman later this year. Right now, as I balance family and work, I can maybe afford to train 8, maybe 10 hours per week. But I'm happy to increase this in the final month or so before the race. Is this doable? Well, you've signed up now, Ron, so you're going to have to make it happen. No, absolutely is doable on that sort of time frame. In fact, we actually get this question quite often, and we have a video on GTN already doing Ironman training in 10 hours per week. So yes, it's doable. However, it does depend somewhat on your starting position. If you're coming from a fairly active lifestyle, or you've been doing triathlon for many years and you're now stepping up to doing Ironman, this is absolutely doable. If you're coming into this fairly fresh and new and maybe haven't been super active for a long period of time, then this is slightly ambitious. You're going to need a longer period of time to sort of build in and build that mileage up. But also you're not going to have the years of endurance in you as well to kind of pull upon. So 8 to 10 hours per week probably isn't going to cut it in terms of trying to get those longer endurance rides and runs in that are really going to prepare you for the Ironman. So you may need to be a little bit creative in your training, and that means that actually maybe doing some days where you do maybe a double bike day. If you do a bike ride in the morning, bike ride in the evening, or sort of simulating that Ironman fatigue through consecutive days of training so that you are getting that sensation that you may do later on in an Ironman in a workout on the third day through accumulating fatigue over multiple days, if that makes sense. Great question though, and please do keep them all coming in using the hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. Drop in the comment section down below. See you next time.